Turn the heat up. Let's go. Well, as always, guys, appreciate your time, always coming out to the press conference to support our players. Thank you, Jesus, for an opportunity to coach these kids and build champions, man. We're relentless to do it every single day. We got a great group of players, great staff, and excited to continue to grow. Played 6 games, learned a lot about ourselves. We're 4-2, and learned a lot in wins and losses. And proud of where we're growing and got a lot of work to get done. Got a huge opponent coming to the Blue this weekend. After watching the tape from last Saturday's game, really proud of how our guys battled, man. So proud of them. A lot of things on film we got to clean up. We've talked about the penalties. There's a kickoff to the house. There's some other things that aren't as glaring, but that we have to get fixed, that we did not execute well, and there was a lack of focus. But our guys never flinched. I mean, it's a 2017 game in the fourth quarter, and our guys found a way to compete and then obviously win by multiple scores. So proud how they battle. We're growing with the effort and mentality we play with, which is a standard here. Now we just got to continue to clean up some of the execution. Like I talked about in our press conference postgame, really proud of how our defense played. Man, when you start the 2 first drives of the game turn into takeaways, that's a point of emphasis for our team. We got to take the ball away more. And then on the flip side, we got to protect on offense, and we did not give the ball away. So that's a huge stat for us. We did a much better job eliminating explosives on defense and created, I think, 12 explosives on offense. So those are huge stats that we do look at, that we do focus on, that directly correlate to winning games. Jaden Virgin Morgan played really, really well. Obviously had the personal foul penalty. That cannot happen. He can't take the bait and do something like that because it hurts the team. We will run for that today, and obviously he was taken out of the game in that moment, but he played really, really well. It was good to see him come on. Braxton Feely had another big day. I thought Jaden Mickey was really consistent in coverage. Amarion had a big interception. Ty Benefield's playing better than any safety in the country right now, just in how he produces and how he practices and how he plays. Marco is one of the most consistent players on our team in regards to how he practices and plays. So there's a lot of guys really stepping up and doing a really good job. Now we got to stay at it. We're playing a really, really talented offense in UNLV, and we'll talk about them here a little bit more. Offensively, didn't start really fast. That's going to be a big point for us, is we got to start fast. With the 2 takeaways, and we're not able to punch it in to be a touchdown in both of those situations. That's a huge point of emphasis for us to grow into starting faster. We got to start faster in our run game, especially. Way too many first down TFLs. Way too many. Can't happen. We can't start a drive on 2nd and 11. Can't happen. Obviously, the false start penalties, something we have to fix, and we're going to do some things in practice again and switching some things up to get those penalties fixed, because that's not good football. We got to get that fixed, and it starts with me finding a plan to get it done, because we have great kids that care about this team, and we got to find a way to make sure we don't continue to shoot ourselves in the foot there. I am proud of how our run game got going in the second half, but we got to start way faster in regards to running the football. Thought Maddox did a good job. There's a couple downfield throws that he's got to get to, that we got to make sure he trusts the protection he gets to, but overall he was accurate. He made his plays. Ben Ford had a big-time day. Chris Marshall had some big catches. I thought Matt Wagner played really well too, run and pass game. And we got to find a way to make sure we get Latrell his touches too. He didn't get the ball at all in this game. That's something offensive we got to look at to make sure Latrell Caples gets the ball, because he's a huge part of our offense as well. Running back wise, I thought all 3 of them did some positive things. Sire Gaines continues to show that he can wear a defense out. Dylan Riley hit his spots and had a couple explosive runs, and Malik Sherrod does a really good job creating explosives, not only in the pass game but also the run game, and we're going to continue to find ways to utilize him too. So in regards to special teams, obviously the kickoff to the house is a huge negative. Can't happen. That was a lack of focus, a lack of urgency on that play, and a lack of guys getting off blocks and making a tackle. At the end of the day, that's what we have to do. Like, the schemes and everything we do is the exact same thing we ran in practice, and our guys didn't execute it. And we have to find a better way to do it as coaches. We had a big return on punt return that gets taken back because of a penalty. Cannot throw a guy on the ground. Can't happen. It's a lack of technique now. So we got to be more consistent in our special teams units, where we did a really good job on punt. But then obviously we had the negatives, so we got to improve that. Huge positives from the game are a 50-yard field goal from Boomer, and obviously not planned was the fire call that Oscar threw to Grizz in the back of the end zone. That's 100% them making a play, and I'm glad we practiced that worst-case scenario every Thursday, and our guys went out there and executed. So all that's kind of a quick recap from the game. Proud of how our guys battled. It's hard to win. I never won there's no moral victories, and it is hard to win. And especially being a part of a program that's won a lot of football games for a long time, never want to take for granted when our players find a way to win. Also, it doesn't mean you run from the negatives of what we need to get fixed and need to clean up. Switching gears to UNLV, man. One of 11 teams in college football that's undefeated. One of 11 teams undefeated. Hats off to Dan Mullen. He's obviously one of the top coaches in the country and he's done it for a long time. And UNLV brought him there to win. And obviously he's done that at a high level. And they've played on the road. They've played in different time zones. They've been in battles. And good teams finds a way to win, and UNLV has. And we know them coming to the Blue is going to be one of the best teams we see all year, and we got our work cut out for us. Think the world of what they do in all three phases. And like I said, Dan Mullen's obviously one of the top coaches in the country. So what they do offensively, their quarterback is their second leading rusher. He can make all the throws, but he is absolutely dynamic running the football. Could be design runs, but even scrambling for first downs. It's not just scrambling for first downs. He's explosive. And Chinander, I think very, very highly of him. He's a Virginia transfer that has come on strong, and that offense is rolling. I think they're a top 20 offense in every category. First downs, touchdowns, yards. They're a very, very explosive offense. Obviously, Dan Mullen, offensive guy. You see that. You see the explosive bones. They mix in tempo. They're explosive. They got one of the top running back. I think Thomas, number 9, is averaging like 8 or 9 yards a carry, which is a lot. And we gotta hem them up in the run game. And then they got a really great receiving core. They did a great job in the portal bringing some guys in. They got a couple returners there that are really explosive. And one of the better O-line units we'll see all season. They're big and physical. I mean, one of their guards, 350 pounds. Another one's big. I mean, their O-line works really well together. Very physical. So you look at the film, there's no doubt they're undefeated, and there's no doubt they're one of the top 20 offenses in the country. That's what you get when you have really good players and you have really good coaches. On the flip side, defensively, and this really goes for their whole team, I think they're number 2 in the country in turnover margin, right? They're +9. I think we're like +3, right? So they do a really good job on defense taking the ball away, and they protect the ball really well on offense. That's a hats off to them as a team, because that's a stat that directly correlates to winning. So we got to know that we got to protect the ball on offense, and we have to continue to grow in how we take the ball away, but they do a really good job defensively. They work really well together defensively too. Same thing offensively, man. They were able to bring in some really good players from the transfer portal. Their nickel transfer from South Florida, I believe, number 4, he does a really, really good job, man. He's got, I think, 4 interceptions. And they use him in a lot of ways. A little bit banged up against Wyoming, but they use him in a lot of ways, can tackle. I think he's got 4 interceptions on the year. Like I said, like he's a really, really good player. Their front works really well together. They got a couple returners on their front. Lucas Conte's a really good player in their defensive line. They got good edge players. And their back end is all guys that have played really, really well at either schools they came from or at UNLV. So I like what they do defensively. They're smart. They do a really good job on third down. They're one of the top third down. They're the number 1 third down defense in our conference, and they're one of the top ones in the country. So you get to third down, man, it's hard. It's really hard to deal with what they do schematically. They got guys that can lock up in man coverage, and they do a good job getting after the quarterback. So we got our hands full offensively, and we know they're going to play really, really hard, and they're going to find a way to – they're going to try their tails off to take the ball away, and we got to protect it. Lastly, special teams-wise, they got good returners. They got good schemes. They're going to pick their shots. And we obviously, with what we've put on film, if I'm them, they got all the confidence in the world to come in here and take a kickoff to the house, a punt to the house, and we got our work cut out for us to make sure that doesn't happen. So a ton of respect for UNLV, ton of respect for Dan Mullen and their staff. And like I said, they're undefeated for a reason. It's a really, really good football team. One of the best teams we'll see all season, and we got to make sure we prep to play our best on Saturday. And we need all of Bronco Nation. We need that place sold out. That is an advantage for us playing at home. It's an advantage for anyone playing at home, but especially here on the Blue, we need Bronco Nation to be here all game long. We need them to be loud because that is an advantage for us. Protecting the Blue matters to this team, matters to me, matters to our players, and we need all of Bronco Nation here at 1:30 the entire game this Saturday night because we got a huge opponent coming to the Blue. With that being said, open it up for questions.
What did you make of like a third of the fans leaving at halftime?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, BJ, I just never want our fan base to ever assume that winning just happens. Because winning's hard. Winning's hard. And yes, I get it. It's raining. It's a late game. No doubt. And everyone's got their reasoning. I get it. Life happens. But winning's hard. We work our tails off to find ways to win. Obviously, we don't always win. And we got to find ways to win more. But Bronco Nation, man, I think I believe without question we have the best fan base in the country. But it's hard coming out at half when you look up and you see a lot of the fans gone. That's hard. It's hard for our team. And everyone's got their reasoning, and I'm not here to negatively talk about it. I do know we need Bronco Nation. We need them in a major way to protect the blue this weekend.
Do the players notice, and do you think it hurts their feelings?
They absolutely notice. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you come out to start the game and it's packed and it's loud, I mean, it's the greatest home environment in the country. I believe that. I've said that. That's not only just the play on the field, that's the light. We've made it the best event in the state, one of the best events in the country. They notice. And then when you come out second half, especially we're in a dogfight, we're battling, and you look up and a lot of the fans aren't there. That's hard. But hey, for us, it is what it is. I mean, we got to find a way to win if we play in a parking lot. Period. End of story. But it definitely is a positive when you play at home for that place to be packed the entire game.
That being said, you're talking after the game about the 15-game home winning streak now, tied for the longest in the nation. What do you guys do? I mean, obviously you can say, you have great fans, but what do you guys have to do to kind of harness off those fans' energy? Yeah,
I don't talk a lot about win streaks or those kind of things with our team. For me, it's all about being our best, and that starts today, tomorrow, all the way to kickoff. And like we talked about last week, the best teams in college football, they win at home. It's not, and yes, I love that our field's colored blue, and I believe we have the best fans in the country, but we better play our best. Because if we don't play our best, it doesn't matter how loud our fans are. Yes, that's an advantage. You lose. And we've lost on the blue before when you don't play your best. So that's going to be my message to our team is, yes, I'm counting on Bronco Nation being there, and I believe at home when you've got a great fan base, which we do, that is an advantage, but we got to pick up our side of the bargain too, which is us going out there and performing for our fans to be our best. So it's a two-way street.
UNLV in one-score games, they've had 4 of them this year. Maybe against teams they probably shouldn't have, Idaho State, Miami, Ohio, this and that. But what can you say about them in tight games and close games and making sure that this isn't a one-possession game in the final quarter?
Good teams find ways to win. When I watch that, good teams find ways to win. And UNLV is a really good football team, and they found ways to win. I think about it no different for us, right? We've had games this season, last season, where it's close. Every week's a new week. They've played on the road. They've played in different time zones. They've played a lot of different but you know what? They're undefeated. You know who's not undefeated? Us. They found ways to win, and hats off to them.
You often say this is a developmental program, and we see it. UNLV, I think 90% of their starting team at least is transfers. Just what can you say about, the job the coaching staff has done there and how difficult that can maybe be to have a whole new team come in?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Dan obviously had a lot of success under Coach Barry Odom the past 2 years. A lot of success. He leaves to Purdue. Dan Mullen comes in. Obviously, he's a big-time football coach, done at a high level for a long time. And they needed to revamp. In this landscape with the portal, you can do that with older guys, and they did a really, really good job. I was telling our staff I was impressed with the guys they would bring from from the SEC, the Big 12, the American, FCS. One of their best corners are from Montana State. And they hit. They're good players. And hats off to their recruiting staff. Coach Mullen himself, I know, is a really, really good recruiter, and they found guys to come in and off a really good team last year. They lost some guys, and they revamped, and they're right back to undefeated. And I think it's the first time they've had this record in a long time. That's hats off to Coach Mullen and their staff.
What do you make of, just this game? It's the last scheduled meeting between you guys. Maybe you'll see them again in the championship.
Yeah.
Who knows? But just you've had some great battles with them the last couple of years, and it's become kind of a rivalry here of late, and this is the last one for now.
Yeah, BJ, I think it's something for us. Every week's a new week, BJ, and no different when we played Air Force, no different when we played Wyoming last season. I don't really think about that a lot, like, hey, this could be the last time unless we see each other again in a championship game. It's the biggest game of our season because it's the next one. Yes, there's a ton of implications, and they're a great team, all that, but my focus is we're such a process-driven team here, process over outcome. We're playing a really, really good UNLV team, and that's our focus. Doesn't matter that we're going to be leaving conferences and we're maybe not going to play them again. And, yes, we've played each other a lot the past couple years. Obviously, it's a whole new staff, a bunch of new players. We've got a bunch of new players. Obviously, our staff's here, and there's a lot of things we remember from last year, but that's not going to carry over at all to this game. This is a whole new season, whole new team. We're a different team than we were last year. So is UNLV, and the ball is going to get put down at 1:30.
This is going
going to be the fourth game in less than 2 years between the two. First time, though, Mullen's been the coach. What's the biggest differences in schemes of what a Mullen team wanted to do versus an Odom team?
Yeah, when you bring in a new staff, obviously from the top down, head coach to coordinators to the personnel that you have, teams are going to be different. At the end of the day, there's bones to winning football games. So what I mean by that is, okay, you have to win the turnover margin. Coach Odom and their staff did a really good job with that, protecting and taking away. I look at Coach Mullen and their staff, same. I mean, number 2 team in the nation in turnover margin. If you just look at that stat, you're not shocked one bit they're undefeated. All right, then you could look at a lot of other stats that they're really, really successful in, and it points to them being really good. So Dan Mullen's going to attack you on offense. I mean, he's going to attack you with tempo, personnel, run schemes, run game, play action. Got a really good drop back game. And then defensively, they're going to be on the attack and take the ball away to steal possession. So there's some similarities to both teams, but it's a completely different team, and they've earned the right to be undefeated.
The sacks and the false starts for the offensive line, how does that group specifically continue to grow but also clean up just the mistakes that they have?
Yeah, a lot of fundamentals and technique issues showed up in the game, from the TFLs to the sacks to IDs. And we got to continue to double down on our practice and meetings. And then it's our job as coaches to find what we're missing instead of just keep it going, which sometimes you do. And I relate sometimes to our players, like it's the analogy of a gold miner where, man, he's digging. And sometimes those gold miners quit before they hit gold. I know we've got better in the tank in every position room in our team. And especially in the O-line. I know if we just got to keep at it. Now, we got to make changes. We're going to do some things this week in practice to change some things, cadence-wise, to help. Like, we're going to do a lot of things just to help our guys. But we just got to keep growing. And there's some fundamentals and techniques we got to be better at. And I know our guys are better than they played Saturday. Now, it's our job as coaches to put that into practice so then they have the confidence to cut it loose in the game. So we just got to keep digging. We got to keep swinging. We got to keep pounding the rock. And I know there's gold there.
Cadence, but how do you fix offensive line penalties Monday through Friday?
Yeah, we're holistically looked at a lot of different things, Mike. Obviously, it's not like this is something that just now showed up. We've been working through this, even in fall camp for guys that came through. I mean, this is something that we've tried things. Maybe it doesn't work, and we're going to try different things. We're going to continue to look at ways to make sure every drill our offensive line does is with a cadence. So it's on 1, on 2, on whatever we're doing that week, to make sure that they're used to that from every drill to practice. But even holistically with our team, we need to focus more. Obviously, in those moments, it could be performance anxiety, right, where I'm stressed and I miss something. Because last week in practice, we didn't have false starts, but that shows me there could be a performance anxiety. But our whole team had lack of focus at points in the game. You look at that kickoff that went to the house. There was lack of focus for some players on that. So it's easy to point at the O-line. We have to fix the false starts that happened. No question. But we need to improve the focus of our team throughout. And so we're going to do some things as a team to make sure we can think, execute, no matter the moment.
At times, does Maddox have an inconsistent cadence?
No, Maddox has done a good job. Yeah, Maddox did a good job. Obviously, it's something we're always looking at. But we're doubling down on making sure it is. But from looking at it and talking to our players, we lose focus in moments. And I think there's a performance anxiety piece because we have great kids. These guys are not battling what we want to do. And these are kids that have been here. It ain't like, well, this isn't what you're used to. This is what we do here. It's foundation of what we do offensively. And we just have to execute better, and it starts with our focus, and we got to work it throughout the week. So we're had a lot of really good meetings, and we have. It isn't like now all of a sudden we're saying this is something no different with tackling. Tackling comes up, but it isn't like after Notre Dame, now I guess we should tackle in practice. It's something that we've been focusing on, but us as coaches, we're not problem pointers. We are problem solvers. And so I'm never going to go in with our players or staff and be like, oh, it is what it is. Like, okay, we tried something. Maybe it didn't work the way we wanted it to, Mike. So now let's find a better way to teach it, drill it, so our guys have the confidence to not to make sure they can do it in the game.
You mentioned sports, anxiety, performance anxiety
Yeah.
a couple of different times. Do you have to bring in like a sports psychologist even maybe, or have you thought about things
Yeah,
like
I think
that?
it's something in the offseason we're definitely going to look at. I think that's a space in college football that we need to. I know Stephanie and EJ and her staff do a really good job with the mental side with our players, and they work some sports psychology into, but that's a growing space, and it's something that I want to make sure we even grow even more this offseason. Absolutely. And so it's something we're focused on that too, Mike, and something that I know even as a program, the sports psychology piece is something I'm excited to grow now, but obviously that's probably going to be more of an off-season situation.
Troy Grizzle's the latest walk-on to have a big moment for you guys. You know, what can you say about the work he's done to put himself in the position the last 2 years, especially when it's come to the position change?
Yeah, I mean, Troy Grizzle, guy that is on scout team, battling his tail off against Max Steege, Jaden Virgin Morgan. I mean, battling. He's got his package on offense. He's on field goal. And him getting that moment, man, where he did exactly what we rep in practice and nailed it in a situation that, like I said, was not called. That was our players just reacting to a negative play, turning into a positive. That's why our sideline erupted for Grizz. We call him Grizz because he's earned it. I mean, he's a team-first guy. I mean, a guy that came here to play edge, and then we needed more tight ends, and so he's like, Coach, send me. I'm in. And now he's a good player for us, man. He's making plays, and he's helping our team, and I got the utmost respect for Grizz.
The kick return you mentioned after the game, like some guys weren't expecting the kick to be returned or to go. What actually happened on that play? Or?
The kickoff to the house? Yeah, so I mean, we've obviously as coaches, and it starts with us, but Boom's done a great job getting touchbacks, right? Kicking it out. So as much as you tell him, hey, this is the one that might not, sometimes you got to learn through pain. I'm not happy that we had to learn through that pain, BJ, but we did. And there were opportunities in that play where there's some guys not completely going full speed down to the ball. And that's on us to get fixed. Not because our guys don't love this team, but it was a lack of focus in that moment. And then just simple IDs were missed on that kickoff. And then at the end of the day, we got to go make a tackle. I got to get off a block and go make a tackle. And so we're going to do some things this week differently in regards to our coverage units to make sure that doesn't happen again. Once again, we're problem solvers. I'm not here to point problems. I'm here to fix them.
Speaking of Boomer, he's kicking as a whole was kind of a question mark in the beginning.
Yep.
He's pretty much shut that down. Obviously nailing a 50-yard field goal, doing such a great job, like you said, with the touchback. So just what have you seen growth-wise from him and him as a player?
So proud of Boomer, no doubt. I mean, early on, like I said, we leave Eastern Washington. We get a PAT block because the kick ain't great. We've got some – and then how he's responded since then with kicking a bunch of touchbacks, right? That's a huge positive for us. We need to continue to do that. Nails a 50-yard field goal, nails another field goal in the game. I mean, he's a competitor. He's a great teammate. And our team is way better because Colton Boomer's here.
Return game, I know you guys went into the season wanting to be able to try to be more explosive in return game. I think you've only returned 5 punts for 30 yards this season, and then the kick return game, you guys are like 129th in the country. I know you have your opinion on stats, but just in terms of the return game and trying to get more explosive plays, what's your thoughts there?
I'm not going to drop my line on you on this one, BJ. No. I think at the end of the day, let's look at punt return. We had a 40, I don't know if it's 40, maybe 30-yard return negated by a penalty. All right, so it happened. That's real life. And in that situation, we have a player that's battling his tail off, but at the end, throws a guy on the ground. Can't happen. That's a technique. We rep it. But as a coach, we're obviously not repping that enough. Because that's a 30-yard return that then all of a sudden we're sitting here saying how great our punt return unit is, right? So we got to make – because we have an elite returner. I believe in Malik Sherrod. I believe he's one of the best around. We got to make sure we give him space, and when we get our pitch to hit, we got to hit it. On the flip side, when you look at our kickoff return, we really got one shot in the game, and the one shot we get, we're not physical enough. Our blocks aren't – we're getting to the area we need to, but we're not physical enough. We're getting run over. Can't happen. Same thing. Okay, we're going to look at it in practice to find ways. We're going to do more walkthroughs in that space to make sure we're getting to leverage, and then I'm winning my one-on-one. 11 dudes on the field. You need to win your one-on-one for the team, and it's not happening consistent enough, and we got to find the guys that can, and the guys that are battling, we got to grow those techniques because we need to be more explosive in the return game.
And how hard is that too, I guess, where you have to weigh taking him at the 25 or whatever versus what you could get because maybe you want to try to make something happen, but obviously it's got to pay off. Yeah,
BJ, I really don't want to wave the white flag. I think obviously we got to be smart and we got to put our players in advantageous situations. But I think if you just wave the white flag every time on kick of return, that's giving an advantage to the team you're playing because they know, hey, they're just going to take this thing on the 25. Obviously, it's hurt us before because we're starting on the 15, 10, 20 when you could easily just take it to 25. But I know we got enough in this building to be explosive on kickoff return and punt return. We have to execute better, and us as coaches got to do a better job to make sure they do.
Ben came in with 4 catches coming into the season. I know you talked about it before, but definitely coming off his best game. He's got 5 touchdowns at home.
Yeah.
Just what can you say about Ben and his performance and just how much he's
Yeah.
grown?
Man, Ben Ford, guys, local kid, been through the ringer in his time at Boise State. Season-ending injury after season-ending injury, shoulder, knees, but an absolute warrior. I have not been around Ben when he's in a bad mood. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't been fighting and battling, because he's been through a lot of painful moments in his career here, but an elite teammate. And it's funny how God works, man. The guys that focus on the team and focus on helping everybody else usually get a lot of individual success and get a lot of individual credit. The guys that want all the individual success and don't focus on the team, it usually flips on them. And Ben Ford's a guy that has become one of our best players, and that's earned. That's not because coaches just like him. He's earned every bit of that, and I cannot be more happy for him, and he deserves all of it.
We saw 3 coaches get fired on Saturday. James Franklin, obviously. I mean, you lose. You've had Notre Dame. People are all going crazy all of a sudden. I mean, what just about this profession and just what you sign up for? And I know the pay is good, but just everything else that comes with it. What are you making? For the buyouts and everything else getting thrown around, and these coaches getting fired. Just your thoughts.
People are upset after Notre Dame? Yeah, I'm not on social media. I don't know. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is what I always feel about college football is you know what you sign up for. And I tell people all the time, like, I get judged on what happens 12 nights a year. Tell me another profession where it's like that. If you don't want that, don't get into college football. Like, and I know that maybe sounds a little, but that's just, at the end of the day, that's what college football is. And it's a very transactional space. It's not what have you done in your time, it's what have you done now. And I think, and like I said, I think highly of James Franklin. It was great getting to know him when we played him in the Fiesta Bowl. He's had a lot of success. I mean, they're the number 3 team in the nation, 2 weeks ago? And yeah, they lost some games that obviously, on paper they shouldn't and all that. He gets fired. So there's inner workings to everything. My heart goes out to coaches because regardless of the money and everyone sees, I get that. That's hard. I mean, to get fired and go through that, and especially for the staff. I've been in situations where someone gets like, that's hard for the staff, the players. So my heart goes out to those teams, and I pray God's best for their lives and what they go to next. But that's college football, and it's what have you done for me right now? And that's where for us and our staff, it's all about our process. Because if you look too much at college football and where it is and where's it going to go and conferences and money, you can get lost. And that's why for me I need to be my best for our team Monday, today, to put them in the best situation to win. I try not to focus on any of the outside stuff as much as I can, BJ, and I don't want our staff to. I don't want our players to either, especially in this space. So it hurts my heart that when guys lose their job and go through it, regardless of what they're getting paid and all that. But that is a reality of college football. We get judged on what happens 12 nights a year, and if you don't want that, pick a different job.
You guys have seen a few mobile QBs this season. What does Chinander do that maybe you haven't seen yet this year?
Yeah, Chinander, the thing about him is, yes, he's extremely mobile. I mean, he had the game-winning touchdown run against Air Force, and he's their second leading rusher, especially when their leading rusher is one of the best running backs in the country. But he can make all the throws, too. A lot of times you're going against a really mobile quarterback. It's like, okay, well, you can really isolate him to make certain throws because he's more of a runner. Chinander can do it all. So you better be dialed in. And they got weapons at receiver and tight end. So you better make sure you're dialed in coverage-wise to defend the pass game. But the second he gets out of that pocket, it might even be worse for you. So I got a lot of respect for what he does, not only just running, but who he is as a thrower too. So we got to be dialed in all 3 phases of our defense, the front, the backers, and the back end, because we're all going to be in conflict. We got to do a good job slowing them down.
I know we talk about Maddox a lot, but taking back-to-back sacks coming out of a timeout, the 2-minute drill in the second quarter, just what's the message just to him in that specific sequence?
Yeah, those are hard moments, and obviously prior to it we had some penalties, so there was a lot of self-inflicted negatives. Right? Broncos can't beat the Broncos. Broncos cannot beat the Broncos. We can't do that. And we got to make our plays when they come. And so in situations like that where a sack happens, obviously we got to win up front with our offensive line in regards to our fundamentals and techniques. And then obviously at quarterback, I got to make sure I get the ball away. There's nothing wrong with throwing the ball away. But it's hard in those situations because he's trying to make a play for our team too. So it's both sides. Like I said, I thought Maddox did some really good stuff on Saturday. Yes, there's some moments where we need to throw that ball away. There's also some moments where he could stand in there more because the protection is good and we could attack downfield. So I thought Maddox did some really good stuff. There's going to be things to improve in for him, absolutely. But we got to make sure we continue to grow in all aspects. Thanks, guys.
Whenever you guys are ready. We're talking about
You're ready to go, John. Go ahead.
Johnny.
These fourth down philosophies you're having and all the fourth downs you guys have been going for, I mean, is Spencer basically, are you operating with the 4-down mentality if you're getting the possession in a certain part of the field?
Yeah, every game we go into it with a plan. Now that plan can change, but there's a lot of communication throughout the week between Coach Danielson and myself as far as what are the scenarios where we're going to be going for it, what does that look like, what are the certain D&Ds, how does that change based on field position. So I'm well aware of the plan going into the game, and it's up to us and myself to execute in those situations.
Was the plan going into this one a lot of fourth down conversions, or were that just kind of the?
A lot. It just ended up that way, to be honest with you, because a big part of it, again, is field position, how we're feeling on special teams, what's our range with our field goal, where we at within the game, what's the score. I mean, there's a lot of details that go into it that Coach Danielson is aware of, that's communicated to me, and it just so happens this game we ended up going for it more than normal, but we were ready for those.
How happy were you with, for your approach to perform in those high pressure situations?
Very happy, yeah, very happy. I think a big part of that goes to the other assistant coaches and the plan that they helped put in place, and then our guys going out and execute. That was huge. Oh, good.
How have you seen the willingness to do that evolve? I mean, there were seasons where you guys haven't converted, 4 fourth downs in a year, and you guys go out and do it in a game. You had 4 in the first half. So just like, I mean, that's just part of football. It's obviously changed over the years. So
yeah.
How much do you like that, though? And you can obviously see the results of it.
Yeah, I like the mentality of it. I like what it does for our offense when we convert and the confidence that it builds, and just the attacking mindset that you have to have when you know you're going to go for it in a lot of those situations. Obviously, 4th and 3 compared to 4th and 6 is a little bit different, right? But it's just a mentality more than anything else, and just trying to be on the attack.
How much of an influence does it have? Are you looking at what the opposition defence is good at? If it really good run defence, you maybe not go for it as much, or is it more just how you're feeling with the offence for going for it on these fourth downs?
It's again, it goes back to the full team. Everybody's involved. The defense knows the plan going into the week. Coach Collins and our special teams knows the plan. Obviously, it's coming from Coach Danielson, but everybody knows what we're going to do in those situations before we get in the game, so there's no surprises.
Would you I know you guys really wanted to establish the run in this game. I know the sack numbers, play with some of the totals, but I think it was 30 carries for like 53 yards in the first half. Got a little better in the second half, but overall, what did you think of how you were able to run the ball?
I loved it in the second half. I thought our mentality started to show up, and we started to wear them down a little bit in the second half. I think every yard we get is going to be hard-earned right now. That's just the nature of what we're seeing and this who we are. But I thought the running backs, the O-line, the tight ends, everybody got better as the game went on, and that's really what you're looking for, because there's critical short yardage situations, low red zone situations where I thought they took over in those moments, and that won't show up on the stat sheet, that 2-yard gain on 4th and 1 or the touchdown run from the 4-yard line, but those are what we want to see. We want to see our offense get better at running the ball as the game goes on.
What did you see maybe just overall? I think they had 10, you guys had 10 negative plays in the first half, and I think only 1 in the second half. What did change?
We made some adjustments schematically based on what they were showing us and then based on what we were executing well. So we did that in the second half. Stayed away from a couple other things that on my part weren't right schematically that put us in a bad position. But that's going to happen throughout a game, and that's going to happen in every game moving forward. We're going to see defenses that are going to do everything they can to sell out to stop the run, and a part of that is we have to eliminate the negatives, but the other part of that, there's going to be some good positive plays that come out of that when a defense is selling out to stop. So I think it's a work in progress, as it always is. We will get better at it. It's always on me to get that fixed, and I will. But again, I love the mentality of the group and how everybody involved got better throughout the game. That's what I'm always looking for.
I think that oftentimes when something happens, you can tell the player's value to the team by the way the sideline reacts. For Troy Grizzle, I mean, it was a minute after he scored a touchdown, and like the whole sideline is still like jumping around him on the sideline. What can you tell us about Troy Grizzle and obviously the respect that he's earned in that locker room?
Yeah, I think that's a great example of who he is and what he provides for this team. I mean, he's the guy that's the tight end on the field goal unit, which is one of the hardest positions in football that nobody really realizes, because you're really dying a slow death every time we kick a field goal and taking on three guys. You know, he's on our kickoff return unit. He's our fullback. He does everything. He contributes on the scout team. So he has the mindset he'll do whatever is best for the team. And everybody on the team understands that and knows that about him. He's completely selfless. So when something like that happens, you can see it was deserved, but you could see that everybody feels that same emotion that he does, because they're so juiced knowing who he is and what he does on a day-to-day basis.
It just seems like guys like him are almost like baked into the DNA of this place. I go back and you think of like a tight end, Alec Danins or Matt Pistone or Dan Paul, and they're your tight ends that are playing fullback for you and things like that. So how much is that? Yeah, I said, that's something that's just kind of like baked into the DNA of this place, like a guy like him.
Yeah, no, he's a throwback. He's a throwback, and you want as many guys like that on the team as possible because they provide so much value. And if I asked him to go and play receiver, even though that's out of his comfort zone, he'll do it in a second. If we ask him to go play D tackle, you know, tomorrow at practice, he'll do it in a second because he loves this place and he loves this team, and you can't have enough of those guys.
Ben Ford came in with 4 catches this year. He's got 5 touchdowns on the blue. Just what can you say about his performance this year and how much he continues to grow?
Yeah, I think, again, Ben is a perfect example of just the work he's putting in on a day-to-day basis and how it's showing up in the game. What you see in the game is how he's practiced this whole season, and he's not taking anything for granted. And he's also blocking his tail off and getting touchdown blocks. And when you do all those little things right, football rewards you, and Ben's a perfect example of that.
Nate, you've played here, you've coached here. This program, 15 straight home wins, now the longest, tied for the longest in the nation. What kind of pride has there been, you know, in just being able to defend the blue the way you have the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's part of our DNA. We protect the blue. It's a non-negotiable for our program and who we are. And wow, what was the previous streak? Do you remember? Did it end my senior year? I feel like I was part of ending a streak, and I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. So the first game I ever saw in the blue was that Wazoo game that we lost, and then the streak ended my senior year on the blue. So I was a part of the beginning and end. But wow, this is crazy stat. Just had me thinking about it. Yeah, but I do not want to be a part of that. But that's just who we are. We protect the blue. We got an unbelievable home field advantage. We got the most amazing fans in the world. So every time we step on the blue, we know what the standard is. It was 35 in a row? There you go. There you go.
Any more? Yeah, where are you, I mean, on the distribution of carries, Nate, I mean, Sire and Dylan are about even. I mean, are you still in a good place with that? Has Dylan maybe done anything to separate himself a little more with his yards per carry, just how you're divvying out the carries?
Yeah, I think it's evolved each game. I think we've gotten better and better as each game has gone on. I think what you've noticed with Cy is he's gotten better each game, so his carries are starting to go up. And then situationally, again, that's where you really see Cy shine, is in short yardage. He can get you that 1 yard inside the 5 yard line. We're trying to play to his strengths the best we can. Obviously, Dylan's doing phenomenal things. So whenever we can kind of keep it equal amongst those guys and they feel like they're having an impact, that's always the goal. And then Malik's, he's having an impact in a lot of different areas you can't see. Maybe not just the carries, but as far as getting the football in his hands and being the returner for us. So I think we're getting better and better as each week goes as far as designating what that looks like for each guy. But the more we can spread it amongst those three, the better we're going to be because we're playing to their strengths.
When it comes to Dylan, not taking anything away from anybody else, just focusing on him, but how much more do you find out about him on game day? I think when you're known for speed, you might not be known for your toughness, but he has tough runs.
Oh yeah,
and he's got 300-yard games in 6 games this season. So how much do you just continue to be impressed by him on game day and things like that?
He never ceases to amaze me, just the maturity he has and how he gets better and how he learns from his experiences. And I think what makes him very unique is he has that speed, but he's not afraid to mix it up, and he can break those hard tackles. And so just having that blend is so impactful for our offense.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you, guys.
You guys don't seem very fired up today.
Great, how are you?
How nice was it to get the turnover on the first play there, and then on the next possession too, to start out with 2 turnovers like that?
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm trying to think back. I don't know if that's ever happened to me before, turnover on the first play. So always pretty cool. And then to come back with the one. And the thing about the turnovers were things we've stressed, which is nice to see happening. Some of the drill work we emphasized. The first one, in the quarterback, when we get a shot at him, like I was telling the guys the other day, we had 55 sacks last year, most in the country, and we got 2 balls out. We need to get these balls out when we're getting to the quarterback. And then Amarion's pick, that's teach tape technique, hands on, look and lean, extend, high point the ball. So it's really good to see the drill work come out almost more importantly than the turnovers.
Amarion, second pick in 3 weeks, and I know he said he wants to be one of the best corners in the country. Just, how great has he been, and what's his rise been like to watch?
Yeah, he's been really good the last couple weeks, and I think, like every young guy tends to do, sometimes they think they have a lot of answers, and then when they finally realize things that are happening in practice are probably going to happen in the games, they tend to be a little bit more locked into what's going on. And Amarion's usually locked in anyways, but I've seen him really ramp that up in the last couple weeks. His technique's been really good. He's been really studying film. So to watch him grow in that way has been pretty awesome. And I still think there's potential, there's ceiling left for him, because I do think he could be one of the best corners in the country. He's just got to continue to work like he has the last few weeks.
What can you say about the improvement of the secondary chings? I feel like, last season, the first few weeks of this season, I got so much flack. And you guys have kept quarterbacks to, career low yards, and, the score lines haven't been crazy. What can you say about the secondary?
Well, like I said, they've done a great job, and credit to their coaches too. They've really, the last, 3 or 4 weeks, really have all hands on deck, using all the coaches, rotating through circuits so we can get every guy through every drill that he may need, whether it's the corners making sure they're getting cloud work and man work and thirds work, and the safeties getting post work and half work and catch man work. So the coaches have been working really hard to get that thing set up so we can be efficient and get them all the reps they need, and the players have done a really good job with their communication and taking the drill work into practice and then carrying over to games.
With Braxton, how good of a pass rusher has he been for you guys this season?
I mean, Braxton's a really good pass rusher. And the thing about our front right now is, I'm sure JV probably is somebody that's circled as, you got to take care of him, 10 sacks last year. And then Max Steege had, 4 or 5 last year on limited reps, and he's a good pass rusher. So you got to pick your poison a little bit. And if you're going to leave Braxton one-on-one inside, he's got a really good chance, in my opinion, against a lot of guards. And there's some really good guards out there, but he's an explosive guy inside. So, and then being able to manipulate the fronts a little bit and move those guys around. Those guys have done a really good job. Like I don't think there probably has been, but one bust on some of the alignments and things we've asked them to do in some of the passing situations.
JV last year, 10 sacks, and he has like such a steady demeanor to his game this year, so maybe he doesn't care, but like the more like, I don't know, common stats, he hasn't had like a ton of them, I would say, those first few games. Last game, 6 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, a forced fumble. How important is it for a kid to like actually see and feel that type of production to make sure, he stays confident?
Yeah, I think JV understands. He knows the game. He knows you get 10 sacks in a year, you're going to get the slide to you. You're going to get chipped. You're going to get doubled. Those kind of things are going to happen. He understands that. But it was great to see him have the kind of game he had, like things that don't even go on the stat sheet, right? Like he ruined 2 of those trick plays by himself. So we definitely encourage those things. We praise him for those things. He understands how much impact he has on the game, even if it doesn't go in the sack sheet. And I think JV's another guy with just about everybody in the country that when he practices really well, he plays really well. So we've got to keep practicing at a high level with him and everybody else on the football team.
The sacks, you mentioned the 55 or whatever last year. You guys have 13 right now. I know you played a triple option team, other stuff, but are teams doing stuff differently knowing what you did last year? Are you not dialing up as many pressures? What do you see from them?
No, I think it's twofold. I think what's happened in the games has changed us a little bit. We still have plenty of ammo, but it's just so happened, triple option, like you said, played a couple teams that just wanted to get the ball out fast and or throw screens because they didn't want to deal with the pressure. So at that juncture, it's not worth the pressure. So the way teams are combating us has had an effect on it. Notre Dame did a really good job of taking care of their quarterback, and they made protection an emphasis. So it wasn't going to be easy to get home fast on those kind of guys. So I think teams have done some things to manipulate it. That doesn't mean we can't be good on third downs. We can't be good on passing downs. It's just going to have to come a different way. And then when we get our chances, we'll go try to sack the quarterback.
Landry is a guy that can hurt you with either his arms or his legs. Obviously, on all plays, you want all 11 guys to be focused at all times, but how much more is that even stressed this week?
No, I think he's a guy, you're right. He's a guy that you have to make sure that either A, pressure and those rush lanes are correct, so you're keeping him in the pocket, or B, when you're not pressuring him, you've got to have eyes on him, because I think he's really dangerous when he pulls the ball down and runs. Even in the run game, on the zone reads or some manufactured quarterback runs, he can be very, very dangerous when he pulls the ball and gets out in the open field.
Been really good against the blitz this year, 5 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. You face a quarterback who is really good against pressures like that. Does it change your approach a little bit, or do you still come in with the mindset of we're going to run our stuff and just try to get to him?
Yeah, no, I think there's you got to play the game. You can't, does it always look like blitz? Then you're going to get yourself in a problem. But if you can show some pressure looks and pop out, and then show some static looks and bring them, and then show it and bring it, and static and drop them out, I think that's the game you got to play a little bit. But I don't think our mentality is never that we're not going to go pressure somebody. Like, it's going to happen. When, how much, just as we talked about, don't know. That's game plan to game plan. But we can't just be like, we're not gonna show this guy any pressure.
You played 28 guys on defense, 24 played at least 10 snaps, nobody played over 40 snaps. As we head into week 8, middle of October, how much of a luxury is that? That's
great. I thought that first group and whoever was rotating with that first group, because there's a lot more than just 11 in that first group, but those guys played really well. Obviously, some things we cannot have a personal foul. We've got scored on twice after personal fouls. Eliminate that, and things look even better. And then when the next group gets in, they've got to finish, period, point blank. Whether you're a starter or not, you have to finish. That's just standard. And you're earning reps, you're on audition to see if you should get more reps earlier in the games. If you maybe think you should be the starter in practice, that's your chance to get those reps. But we've got to finish as a team because everybody's one injury away from getting in. But to your point, it was good that we could take some heat off those guys, get them on the sideline. And, always people are banged up in football across the country, but, you risk one late, somebody just trips over somebody and, all of a sudden an injury happens. So I'm glad we got to get a lot of guys out and get some younger guys in and get some experience with them.
What else other than the quarterback do you see that concerns you from UNLV?
Yeah, I think he's really good. Like, he can extend plays, and I know we just talked about him being able to run the ball, but he also he'll run up to the line of scrimmage. You think he's about to break it, and then all of a sudden, so I think he can extend plays, whether it's with his legs or with his eyes downfield. I think he has a good feel for the read plays that he's given, whether he's going to hand that thing or if he's going to keep the ball. I just think he looks like a guy to me, like he's just a gamer. And I'm sure he does it in practice too. I only get to see the games, but he's just a guy that makes plays. He's got that it factor as a quarterback. So I don't think it's, he's a pocket passer, he's a runner. I just think he makes plays. He's a playmaker.
What about the rest of their offense? I know the coach Danielson said they got one of the better running backs in the country.
Yeah, I mean they got speed at running back, and obviously we gave up a wheel to a running back last week, so that's something we got to get ready for, and I'm sure they're seeing that, and they're saying our guy's as fast as that guy, so we can run some wheels with him. They they got some big receivers that can run good routes, and their O-line on film looks to be like a big group that wants to run gap schemes, wants to get downhill at the run game. So we're going to have our hands full this week because I think they're pretty balanced everywhere. I don't think there's one position group that you're like, we don't really have to worry about them because they have good players all over the field.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys.